Okay, I'm gonna continue on with my contrasting series. This one is this is more about the narratives that we have programmed in our brain. Like I said before, the slavery narrative is always this: take care of yourself. As I was born again in this town, and particularly, but my whole life being from the friendliest town in America, where they taught us to be very polite, being a triple Sagittarius, I could never. It took about 15 or 17 years of being in a haunted town on the West Coast to understand and forgive people and stop getting offended. That they were so mind controlled and afraid that they couldn't look me in the eye, or because they were raped or they were hurt, they couldn't interact with me at all. They looked like hippies or whatever, or because of classism or whatever the reason was. It took me a long time to be able to accept, and still planning to bring a lot more awareness about this issue on a greater level by publishing on something beside YouTube, has given me the courage to, but I still, last night I went to this certain store and this person said, "Let me see your ID." And I said, "How about a hi or what's up?" Or, I mentioned I'm from Charleston, and they're kind of, you don't know what that person has been through. I'm thinking, why would you be working customer service, giving people something that makes them feel good, when you're coming with this attitude? It's like, yeah, but I realize you've been through, because I'm empath. I told her I was an empath. I said, I realize, but which implies that, yeah, which also, again, brings up the issue that the idea that someone with this attitude would work in a place that's that cool just shows you how twisted, again, the idea, and that's what this video is about, is the mentality we all have. And I'm really suffering with this because of choices I was coerced into making 15 years ago. And that's what this channel is also about on a selfish level, the little me egoic level for me is, I was a hermit here for a long time, and part of it was the fear, of dealing with narcissistic or people who would just, be abusive. So, but here we have this, people work 3 jobs to pay the rent here if they're not really specialized or wealthy. So the mainstream media, the social security system of SSI or welfare income, and all the inversions in the media, the reptilians and the regressives, they have highly advanced technology, but they refuse to admit spiritual creator. Okay, the mainstream media and the beings that control that, they refuse to admit the benevolent spiritual creator. I mean, if you watch the mainstream media, you won't believe in God if you believe that. Do unto others. They do unto others. Okay, whereas the original creator, what's that like? What's the narrative? You're given free will. The original creator is a free creator. The source consciousness of the Christed future, you're going to tell yourself, I must tell the truth and have fun learning, expanding, and healing. And the work itself is going to be aligned with your soul, with your purpose, your mission, and why you're on this planet. I'm going to get closer here because the intense rain is coming in. So that'll make it harder to hear my voice. So, So one of the whole reasons why I'm here with you is to say that, when you become real with the Most High, it flips the order to the proper order. You will no longer put the reptilians and the reptile brain to the top. When you learn Kundalini Yoga and Tantric or Taoist practice, it does not fill your body with the snake. It inverts the toxic part of your sexuality. It inverts the sexual force from being yang to make it yin. It makes it so that you have the potential possibility, if you don't make yourself sick because it's easy to mess it up, of connecting with the creator force within in a way that makes you realize that you do not need to be a vampire. You have the power within. It allows you to feel that energy of the creator force. So when you're awake, the snake brain is back, and it's not in your mind anymore. Like the pornography and the mainstream media can put it in your mind, right? When you're fully awake, it's back in your base chakra. Okay, and that it also involves all the rest of your life, Whereas I still have parts of my life where I have to put the snake back down. Until you become clear, it takes up space where it doesn't belong. That's where they attract these thought forms that can be all bad. Okay, so when you're a slave, you accept everything as it is out of fear. The cube tech, you're totally closed off to the higher frequencies. I think about the serenity prayer that says, Lord, give me the strength to change what I can and to know the difference. Well, the slave doesn't really think they have any power to change anything. They're terrified of change. They're terrified of awareness that brings forth that level. Okay? But when you're awake, you realize you can. I mean, if 20 people, 10 people, 50 people see this, I no longer have the reptilian idea that I have to single-handedly save the world myself, which was my brainwashing from the 27 Club. No. I believe I'm one of hundreds and thousands of people who have to bring the awareness, who have this job. And yes, I will do it on Sunday. Yes, I consider this church. And yes, I share church every day out of the joy, out of the desire to spread awareness. And this is what I mean when I say, when you're born again into the Christ frequencies, the fear does not control you. It becomes the opposite. Now, see, under the frequency of the slave or the fear, you have contracted everything. You have to sign on the paper so that the judge is in charge. So everything's inverted. The guy in the black robe is in charge. To get the job, the house, the motel even, the marriage, you sign the contract. In the ascension, the ascended reality is expansive. The old world is the contracted. Okay? It contracts. Fear. Contract. So you think everything must be, if you're controlled by this old world view, everything's in the box. Contract. The cube tech. So when you allow the frequency of fear or the slavery frequency to control you, man, you're open to cancer, MRSA, herpes, strokes, all diseases. And you could attract the zeta, and most of us have the implants, and now many of us have the nanotech growing within, the mind control. Remember, the consciousness is vampiric. You have to work for somebody else. You have to get the paycheck. You have to pay the rent. You have to put food on the table. You have to pay your taxes. You have to pay for everything, and you can't do it yourself. The Christ frequency is more open to this DIY life. It's experimenting. Your open-heartedness. You're experimenting. Okay, so the vibration of the real original creator, instead of bringing in these demons in your thoughts, people are when they're fully awake, they can channel Palladians, Arcturians, Andromedans, or respectful beings who don't hurt them, who teach them spiritual awareness. And I've learned a lot of my information from these people. So, and why would I trust them with no credentials? Because of the frequency of the information. I knew it was accurate and respectful. So, you become a harmless being. You don't want to hurt anyone else. You realize it's pathetic to your soul to hurt others. When you're awake, the frequency of the real original creator does not involve itself in abuse. And the part of me that still does will prevent me from ascending if I don't change. I have to be 100% clear. And this is why, like I say, the shadow work is so important. The slavery-based, fear-based consciousness, the old world was masculine, you know, the patriarchal, the angry father. The real Christ is more of like a woman, a healer, or an androgynous, totally sensitive and respectful to your needs, and what's called hierogamic union, where you actually are in a physical tantric embrace with your soulmate. That is the natural yin-yang for humans, especially when they're awake, empowered. The frequency of God is when people make really amazing art, music, songs, healings, the expanding of awareness, timelessness, like when you're in a show, getting a healing or having sex, and you're completely off away from the clock. You become timeless temporarily in the presence of the frequency of God, okay, or Goddess. It's giving, loving, letting go. It allows you to love, but it does not encourage you to hold on in this destructive pattern. This is the inverted form, the obsessive love. The real God, the real creator, is totally expansive. It doesn't force you or limit you. You know, on this subject, I want to recommend, if anybody really believes in mental illness still, the Malidoma Some YouTube video where he talks about going to the psychiatric hospital. He said they're all healers. He said in his country in Africa of Dagara, if somebody freaks out and starts acting crazy, the village elders will surround them and listen to what they're saying. And that will inform them of what their healing specialty will be. So for me, one of my things is speaking and helping others and talking. With Mercury retrograde, thinking I couldn't speak properly. So doing a YouTube channel, having a YouTube channel properly is part of my healing, my social medicine, okay? So make your limitation your gift if you have the courage. I'm making videos in the tent. I'm not afraid, okay? You have to be everyone you meet. Oh, transparency means nothing to hide. You have to be everyone you meet who isn't clear-headed. You're their parent, spiritually. It's heavy. So, when you become really seriously awake, you become just like a child, yet you have to be everyone's parent who's not fully awake. How ironic is that, right? So, well, subscribe if you enjoy this. We are it.